Hi folks, Dave Schmidt here. It's the morning of August 3rd as I'm coming to you in this portion of this week's video. I want to thank you for allowing me to take last week off as there was no video or newsletter. But what I want to do this week is a continuum of what I had done in the previous 2 to 3 weeks. I had talked about preparing for the upcoming financial shift and change. In the first one, I talked about practical things of what we do practically in getting ourselves ready with our physical finances. And then in the following week after that, I talked about what do we do emotionally, some of the things that we can do to prepare ourselves. Well, I want to extend that this week. But what I'm going to do also, I'm going to share with you a portion of another video recording that is taking place of some new stuff that is developing. Now, first of all, this recording is a part of more than a 2-hour interview that David Wilcock has with a gentleman by the name of Goode. Many of you have seen that, you have heard of it, of these new developments that are coming out because it is making rapid rounds in basically, our alternative media sources. Now, I'm not endorsing necessarily everything that takes place in there, but I am highly encouraging you to hear what's taking place in this 13-minute segment. What Corey is talking about here is what I have been teaching in my workshops for over a year and a half, and also what I have been saying in some of the videos that go all the way back to last fall. It all comes down to the importance of understanding the power of our thoughts. Everything we've been waiting for, everything that we have been wanting, the shifts and the changes that are taking place in our world, we are the ones collectively who are either bringing them about or hindering them and keeping them from happening within our lives. Now, Goode, if you have listened to the other parts of the interview, you will find that for over 20 years he was involved in what's called a secret space program that was going on with our Black Ops operatives, the Cabal. And anybody who just spends any amount of time listening to the various alternative media sources, it's very, very clear. We live in a world where there is what's called a shadow world, and that shadow world out there involves the secrets of what goes on with alien races, what's going on in space, the technology that they have that is almost 100 years beyond what is being given to us today. There are vast multiple sources that will tell you about alien races that are on the backside of the moon. The multiple times that different people have made trips to Mars because they understand how to collapse time and be able to travel there in a very short period of time. They understand that in the world we live in, there are multiple dimensions, which means we can take place in this physical 3D world dimension, but they can go through portals which allow them to go into another dimension where they can exist in places like Mars without needing the assistance of all the stuff that we would have on Earth. It's shifting energetic dimensions. Why? Because everything in this universe all comes down to energy. It's how energy works. Energy operates in frequencies and vibrations. And what we physically see, what we physically feel, what we physically hear in our and what takes place in our 5 physical senses is only a very, very small spectrum of everything that is out there in the universe. Well, in this interview, Goode is going to say that the messages are coming down, that we are about to go through a huge energetic shift here in the planet. I'm amazed almost every day I'm seeing things in Facebook of people that are saying with messages that in the months of through August through October, we are coming in for a huge energetic shift. Goode talks about a huge energetic wave that is coming into the planet. Those of you who have attended my workshops, you talk about how I talk about we have entered into what is called the photon band. Earth has entered into that in this 26,000-year cycle that we go through. There's huge shifts coming. And that energy is so intense, the key is, what have you done to raise the vibration of yourself so you can handle this energy? Those who have gone through raising their energetic vibrations. And raising your energetic vibrations all comes down to having a consciousness, having a focus on love, peace, joy, happiness, not being judgmental, and operating in forgiveness. Those who do that, you are literally raising the vibration, the energy vibration of your being. We will be able to handle that. Those who don't are going to have some huge problems. Goode talks about that. You're going to, because the energy is going to create what's called a disjunctive disruption within your body. And you're going to find yourself more angry, more attacking, more irritated, more filled with anxiety, fear, all these things. And then your reactions out of that come how you choose to respond to it. The key to all of this is our focus, our concentration, our consciousness, how we choose to perceive it and look at it. When these things come at us, the most important thing that we can do, and this clearly comes back to the teachings in A Course in Miracles, and I was just reading this again yesterday, is that when something comes at you and you feel a resistance to it within yourself, within your emotions. And what are your emotions? Your emotions are the energy of your thoughts. Motion. Energy in motion. Your emotions are the energy of your thoughts that are going on within you. And the key is, how do you choose to respond to those? You can allow them to take control, and then out of that becomes the negative things, the problems, the creations of the things that we do and we see in our world. Or you can choose to stop. Recognize what is there, and the most important thing is that you can do is to feel those emotions, to recognize them, and then respond in an appropriate manner. When you feel emotions of anger, anxiety, fear, wanting to attack, wanting to judge, wanting to lash out, and we all go through those. When you feel those, the most important thing that you can do is to stop. And just let it be there. Instead of becoming the participant in the anger, the participant in the judgment, the participant in the anxiety, the participant in the fear, instead of being the participant, you become the observer. It's like you take a step back and say, oh, I'm feeling this anxiety. I'm feeling this fear. I'm feeling this anger. And you just look at it and observe it and just let it be there. And you don't engage with it. When you do that, the energy of that emotion, if you will notice, it dissipates. It just goes away and it fades away. That's how you diffuse it. If you enter into it, you feed it. You keep it alive. And then when we do that collectively as a human race, we're the ones who are creating our problems. Now, in this interview with Goode, you will also hear about how what the people that we call the cabal, these rulers of this, what we call this dark aspect of this world that we live in, they are constantly feeding us with things of fear, things of anger, things of anxiety, things of all kinds of what you call dark energy emotion. They want us to react. They want us participating because they clearly understand and they get it. They understand the power of consciousness, the power of our thoughts, and how we react to that. When you see something that comes up that's very despicable, something that's absolutely horrible, and what we're noticing is these rash of police attacks upon innocent people, I know what that does for me. That gets me angry inside. But here's what I want. If the cabal keeps feeding these things, and if I am responding in anger, what am I doing? I'm putting out the energy of anger. And therefore, then what they are doing, they want that. And when that collectively begins taking place, whether it's the false flag issues that are taking place, whether it's the money problems that are taking place, whether it's the beatings and the hatred that's taking place, whether it's people upon people, or whether it's what's recent, because this issue of what came up with, what's his name, Clarence, or I'm going blank on the lion in Zimbabwe that was killed. We react to this. And the key important thing is it's things like that. They bring it up, and how do we choose to respond? If we choose to just be the observer, we're not engaging the energy. We're not engaging the negative energy. And that is exactly what the cabal wants. Because, see, they literally are energetic vampires, energetic leeches, and they feed off of us, giving them this negative energy. If we could, for a moment, all of us in this world could just stop and do nothing but focus on the energy of love, we would stop it all. Corey Goode talks about that in this another part of the interview. You don't see it in this 13-minute segment. But we as a collective, as a human race, as I have mentioned, I says, love is the most powerful energy in the universe, but fear is the most dominant. If we could, for a period of time, let go of all of our fear, diffuse all of that energy, we would totally shift and change our world. Now, that's a hypothetical, and yes, that's a great thought, but it also tells us what we need to work toward. And as a collective in the human race, we are doing that. See, that's why I'm so positive in believing about the shifts and the changes taking place in our world. Because we're shifting and changing the conscious energy of our planet. And we're bringing about a new world for all of us to believe in. Money, it's just a tool in the whole shift to the change in the consciousness. But it's coming about. There will be a shift and a change, whether it be financially, whether it be socially, whether it be how we relate to one another, whether it be to the issues of sickness and health in our lives. All these shifts and changes are coming about. And there's a lot of shifts and changes coming in the next couple of months. Am I an exact, and do I know all these specific dates that these other people are talking about? I'm not going to comment on that. Different people have different opinions. I choose to step back, look at it from the broader perspective, and let it unfold. Because it's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to happen what's going to happen. But we as a collective can determine to the degree that it's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen over the next month and a half. But if you notice something, we're now into the third week of Jade Helm. And if you've noticed, it's been real quiet. You can choose to look at that from two different perspectives. Well, if there's quiet, it's because behind the scenes they're getting ready to do all this stuff to create these problems, to enslave these people, to put them into the FEMA camps. Or you can choose to say, no, it's quiet because we haven't fed collectively on the negative fear. We have chosen, to just be the observers and let it be, so they can't react to anything. I have said this multiple times. The ambassador has said this multiple times. The key to Jade Helm is going to be how we are going to react to Jade Helm. How many fearful postings and messages did you hear about it? And people thinking it was going to be absolutely horrible. People were going to be arrested, put into FEMA camps. There was going to be martial law. We're 3 weeks into it, of 8 weeks. And for 5 more weeks, we can choose to be peaceful. We can choose to be just the observers. And we can choose to let it be. And we can choose to not feed the negative energy that the cabal would love us to step into. Because that's how they get their power and their control. By us reacting. We have a tendency to want to call them evil, to call them criminals, to call them horrible, powerful rulers. But in reality, they are only empowered by us, by how we choose to perceive, by how we choose to respond, and by how we choose to act with our thoughts. I choose to see them in love. in spite of all of this horrible stuff that goes on in the world, I will still choose to love them. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. There's a power in that. There's an energy in that. As we choose to operate in the power of love, we will choose to shift and change our world in a very positive way. Enjoy this 13-minute part of the interview that David Wilcock does with Goode. There's some wonderful things in there, and we are about to shift and change into some very good things coming in our world. Thank you very much. Enjoy your week. Okay, bye-bye.
And the Blue Avian said, Tier Air said, that there's a tsunami of energy coming into our solar system.
And since then, he has said that these energy waves are coming in like ebbing and flowing. They're coming in waves. As our solar system, our star cluster, our local star cluster, is in the torsion field of the galaxy as we are entering this area of the galaxy, this high energetic area of the galaxy.
Did he say anything about what the immediate short-term effects of that would be as a tsunami? What would happen to us as a tsunami comes in? How would we notice it?
Well, if they were not diffusing this energy, there would be a lot of really catastrophic sun activity and a lot of really bizarre behavior in humans and animals, and really bad weather, earthquakes, all kinds of things that these spheres diffusing this energy is supposedly alleviating for us.
What would be the bizarre behavior? What might we see?
Basically like end time madness type of, people just not being able to handle the energetic change.
So the tsunami has an effect on the mind somehow?
On the consciousness, people's consciousness. You would be waking up, and instead of your local area hearing of 1 or 2 shootings every night, you'd wake up and hear of all kinds of shootings and riots and crazy stuff going on. People being reactionary and acting bizarre for no apparent reason.
I think most people feel like their thoughts are their own free will, and they don't have there's no other influence on how they think and feel other than what's in their own mind.
We're all connected. We all have a joint mass consciousness that is affected by the energetic background noise or background energy of the cosmos.
What is the effect that will happen as this continues? If they're stopping people from going crazy, then what are we gaining as this energetic change continues?
Well, we're gaining time right now to raise our consciousness to become, their message is to become more loving, more forgiving of yourself and others. And they say that stops the wheel of karma, and that that we should focus on becoming service to others on a daily basis, not being so focused on ourselves and our own self-needs, but on helping others, not being a doormat to others, but to try to be empathetic and help others, and to daily try to raise our consciousness and our vibration.
So they're not trying to pose as the new God.
Absolutely not. And one of the things that they have forced into my head is that I need to make sure that I do not come across as any type of guru, that I need to remain humble, and that I need to make sure that this does not become a cult or a religion. And I don't know the history of it, but apparently they've tried this 3 other times in the past, and each time their messages have been distorted and humans have used it for control and turned it into cults and religions.
Can you give an example of where you stepped out of line and they spanked you?
Well, there's been times to when I have lost my temper with haters, and they've told me that during this time of high energy, karma is more immediate, and I suffer some immediate karma, open myself up to attacks, and they'll have a talk with me that I need to practice what I preach, focus on the words that I'm saying, and I need to try better to embody what I'm saying. And it's become more loving, forgive others. It sounds easy, but that's a very difficult path. It is very. And
Well, it seems like it's the opposite of what the elite believe.
well, it is. And anyone that's tried to walk that path, you stumble quite a bit. And being human, it's hard to love people that are hating you, and it's hard to forgive people that are spitting in your face. But that it's not an easy path. But if you want to raise your consciousness and become a higher vibratory type of person or being, that's the path you got to take.
Did they tell you that there's a relationship between consciousness and physical reality?
Absolutely.
How does that work, according to what they told you personally?
Well, it's the same concept that has been used to enslave us.
I don't understand.
Well, our consciousness has been used, our mass consciousness has been used as a tool against us to keep us enslaved. The powers that be will use media to plant a seed in our mass consciousness, and then later on, through mass media or false flags or whatever, cause an incident to cause us to emotionally give it energy, and the masses through our mass consciousness, to create that situation and make it happen.
So you're saying that's like Imagineering.
Right.
They're actually trying to cultivate this power that we have to manifest outcomes that they might want.
Right. The powers that be fully understand the power of our consciousness. And they understand that everything around us, our thoughts, light, energy, matter, are all states, are all vibratory states. And our consciousness is a vibratory state. And our joint consciousness is a very powerful co-creative mechanism that has an effect on all of the other vibratory states around us. And once we learn to harness that, we can change reality. And especially as we're going into this higher vibratory area of the galaxy, and our consciousness is changing, becoming more higher vibratory, we're going to become more of a force to deal with for these elites or any other group that want to try to keep us in a box.
You said that there's 22 different genetic programs going on. And so we have all this DNA from other intelligent civilizations. What happens with all that mix and match of DNA in us as we go through this change?
Well, what has occurred from this big hodgepodge and mix is that we have a wider spectrum of emotions than most beings out there. They have the same emotions we do, but because of all the tinkering that's happened with our light bodies and our genetics, it's not just genetics. We have a wide spectrum of emotions, which is a blessing and a curse. Because, right now we can't control those emotions, and it's affecting and our consciousness level is not controlled. So we kind of got a mess right now.
So if someone has a judgmental look on their face and looks at us, because of this genetic mix and this spectrum of emotions you're talking about, does that mean that we are going to actually have a stronger emotional reaction than other intelligent civilizations normally would?
Yeah, we have a stronger emotional reaction to just about everything than other societies do because of our makeup. I mean,
it seems like that could be a tremendous weakness.
It's also a great thing once we learn how to control our consciousness, because emotions are like an activator in our consciousness. They work hand in hand, and that's what helps activate our consciousness, and we can become very powerful co-creative beings and create a wonderful new world once we're not being manipulated, and once we learn how to manage it, our emotions and our consciousness.
If the Sphere Being Alliance is not allowing what we're calling the good guys, the alliance in the space program, to actually create military strikes, how do they think that anything's ever going to change? Wouldn't the alliance perspective be that they need to attack these negative groups of extraterrestrials that are still here in order to ever change anything?
Yes, they do. They have wanted to go the full military route, but negative begets negative. You can't get a positive from a negative. They've been given extraordinary technologies that are defensive in nature, not offensive.
Is the alliance,
the
Space
the
Program
alliance. The Secret Space Program Alliance has been given defensive technologies, but they have been told not to do any more of these strikes that cause large losses of life, not to destroy any more of the infrastructure that is going to be handed over to a post-disclosure civilization that will be the foundation for a Star Trek type civilization.
Well, disclosure would be a really key word there.
Yes, full disclosure is what they're going for.
So these sphere beings are helping us get to disclosure?
Right. That is the goal. They want for humanity to free themselves through disclosure and through us rising up and freeing ourselves. And hopefully, and it's going to be messy because a lot of people are going to be angry. There's going to be some messy parts, but they want us to do it in a way that's going to be a foundation for a whole new era for humanity.
Well, this is a really fascinating subject, and we are only just getting started. We're going to do a whole series of episodes. Obviously, there are so many questions, and we're just cracking the lid off of this thing, but this is very fascinating. Corey, I applaud you for your courage and your bravery in coming forward and being willing to do this, and I think you're a hero, and we all owe you a debt of gratitude. So thanks for being here, Corey.
Thank you.
All right.